The Highland Hills tower the skies. But the shadows they cast draw the spirits near. After all,
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Wednesday night. We're back once again, joined by my co-host Drew here from Drew's Paranormal. But you've changed the name of your show, haven't you? What is it called now?
Yes, it's now Drew's Abandoned Paranormal Scotland.
Drew's Abandoned Paranormal Scotland. So all you people in the chat, because there's quite a few of you, could you please jump over there and maybe somebody will post a link in the chat, one of the moderators, that'd be really good. But before we jump into some stuff, how are you, Drew? How's things in windy, wet Scotland?
I'm doing good, Christopher. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a bit wet and miserable, isn't it? So, unfortunately, not much ghost hunting going on in my household, but yeah.
No. I seen you were a guest on a show last night. On a show last night. What was the show last night you were on?
Yeah, it's actually the show that I do that once a week. It's over on Mystical Loving Lights channel, which is my sister Witch channel. She's over in Tennessee, so we are going through a little bit of a phase interviewing each other right now. She interviewed me last week, and we interviewed our sister October Rainrocks the week before, and with her last night. So it's interesting getting to know each other and seeing how we all do things a little bit different. So definitely check out Mystical Love and Light if you like the witchy stuff.
Definitely each other in the chat. Just subscribe to each other, guys, in the chat. Thank you, Dakota there, Bald Bonkers, for putting Drew's paranormal blog there. Link. Thank you very, very much. Now, tonight we've got a really interesting subject. I mean, it's a Flannan Island lighthouse. Now, have you ever heard about this lighthouse, Drew?
No, I hadn't, Christopher, until you told me the other day that's what we were going to be talking about today. And I did do research on it. Well, as much research as you kind of do on YouTube, to be honest. But yeah, it's interesting.
Before we get into that, guys, we've got actually a big announcement to make. We've got a special guest. Well, obviously, you know that I'm the co-host for Bald and Bonkers with Dakota, and on a Saturday and a Sunday night, and we've got a very special guest coming on. So I want to play this wee trailer for you. It's a wee bit of advertisement, guys. It's only like 20 seconds long, but anyway, this will explain who the guest is for Saturday night.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you know that Chris has another program he co-hosts alongside Dakota Franson called The Bald and Bonkers Show? Of course, some of you knew that, but did you hear about the live guest? The Bald and Bonkers boys are welcoming back none other than Elena Danon, author of A Gift from the Stars and We Will Never Let You Down. Her latest addition to the series, The Cedars Return of the Gods, details some of Elena's most extraordinary encounters as emissary for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. You know the guys have a history of strange things happening on the show. Anyone who follows Elena has seen very similar things take place. When the three get together, it never fails to go to hyperdrive. Turns out it's because Elena and Dakota might have a history from the stars. You don't want to miss it. The guys go live Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. GMT at www.youtube.com/@baldandbonkers.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. He's awfully good at making trailers, isn't he? He is awfully good at making trailers. Dakota. But anyway, let's dive into the subject for tonight.
Elena's really interesting because Elena is also a shaman and things, which I didn't realise until you had interviewed her once before. So she's very interesting, guys. You just need to check it out.
Oh, God. Elena is an absolutely amazing person. I mean, the knowledge that she has about the ETs and stuff like that. So, guys, Saturday night, wherever you are in the world, you need to come and watch the live. But anyway, let's talk about this very interesting location, guys.
Yes,
now, there it's there. I mean, it's an interesting lighthouse. I mean, the mystery of these three guys. Let me introduce you to these three guys here. Now, these are the three men that disappeared that night without a trace. Now, some people have speculated, was it over a couple of days that they slowly disappeared, or did they all disappear in the same night? What's your opinion, Drew?
Yeah. I don't know if people are actually aware. Maybe they better do a quick background on the actual place of Flannan. To let you understand, guys, that Flannan is actually on an island. I can't remember how many miles it is out of the actual mainland.
It's 80.
80 miles. 80 miles out. So to me, how can 3 guys disappear? The fact that the light hadn't been lit for 3 days, I do believe 3 or 4 days as well, is very strange.
Yes.
So I think they must have disappeared over a couple of days.
Well, this will kind of show you
a quick background of the story.
Well,
Chris,
I've
what happened.
Well, I've actually got the story written up here, but see where the A is, guys, where the letter A is, that's where the lighthouse is. And it was the first building built on the island. Now, it was this is the story. It was a transatlantic steamer named the Archer. And at first, it noticed something was wrong. It was sailing past the lighthouse, right? And every time it sailed past, the lights would be on for the lighthouse, for the rocks and stuff. But it sailed past and there was no light whatsoever. So they thought, right, let's try and signal them. So stop the ship. But they couldn't land on the island because this transatlantic steamer was too big, right? So they sat there and they tried signal, nothing. So anyway, the captain decided, right, we'll need to go back to port.
Hi, Liam.
So, hey, Liam. So it went back to the port of Leith, right? The Archer passed the lighthouse, right? I'm reading here, the Flannan lighthouse, on the night of the 15th of December, 1900. The crew saw that the light was off after docking in Leith. 3 days later, the news was passed to the Northern Lighthouse Board. That's the people that look after the lighthouse. Something was amiss on Flannan. A mystery that explored in the 2019 film, The Vanishing. You ever seen the film, The Vanishing?
No, I haven't, but I did. I mean, I was reading through, I was looking at the thing on YouTube, a couple of videos I watched. I noticed that was what they had said. So that's interesting.
So the Lighthouse Board dispatched a relief tender. It's like a wee boat with people to go and see what was going on. They arrived on the island on the Boxing Day. The ship's captain, Jim Harvey, sounded his horn and set up a flare to alert the 3 lighthouse keepers. Basically, there was nothing. They would usually go out and flash like a light. Nothing, right? So the wee tender boat with the people on board for the lighthouse company, the people that looked after the lighthouse company, arrived on the island, right? And everything was fine. There was a boat tied up at the dock, right?
Yep.
So they decided they would go up to the lighthouse itself. So they went up to the lighthouse, which is, let me read this here. The lighthouse keeper, John Moore, set off on 160 steep steps. 160 steep steps to the lighthouse. 3 giant black birds perched on the cliffs above him, right? Which is quite interesting.
This is important. Remember that.
Reaching the lighthouse compounded and the living quarters. So they opened the door. It wasn't locked. Obviously, they didn't really lock doors in the days. They opened the door, and
no wonder all those stairs to climb.
The lamps had burnt out of paraffin, right? The candles had melted, right? The tea and the kettle was still on. It was as if the table was set for them to have their dinner or their tea.
Right.
The plates were out, food was on them, but there were no. So they decided they would search the entire island. They searched and searched and searched the entire island. Nothing. They couldn't find not one of the men. Now, there was
a couple of wee things.
Yeah,
there was a couple of rocks and things had been scattered around in a wee bit of disarray, but there had been a storm had passed through, I do believe, the night before.
See, this is interesting. After they searched the lighthouse complex and the entire island, they found that one of the men that went to found a pair of oilskins.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, oilskins, ladies and gentlemen, that's like fishermen wore them in those days. They still wear them. They're waterproofs, right?
Yeah.
It was one pair of them. Now, the island was hit by a massive storm, guys. Right? It was one of the biggest storms. Now, let me see here. They strew across the ground despite being over 100 feet above sea level. See, this is the thing. A lot of people think that they were washed away, right? They said, they went outside and they get washed away. Let me show you the lighthouse.
In the storm.
Right. Here's the lighthouse today, right? Now, this will maybe make it a wee bit easier for you. You don't get waves that size. You don't get them.
And the fact
don't get them as high
being
as
as
that.
well. Yeah, and the fact being as well, hadn't been one was the night before, I do believe, when the men had actually went to see what was going on.
Yeah.
So why was there no lights for a couple of days? The storm was only the one day. The other days had been calm. So that's another. Why was the lights and things not on for a couple of days before the storm? You know, there's a lot of different things that. And also, I don't know if you, when you were doing your research, noticed that a lot of people beforehand had told tales of seeing ladies and things like turning out the blue. Like in the island, nobody can go. Nobody can go on the island except for the people tending to the lighthouse. So, who knows?
It's actually really interesting you bring that up, Drew, because I actually read a bit about the lighthouse itself. It's one of the first buildings to be built there. But if you go back far enough, like 1,000 years, right? Far enough, there was ancient settlements on the island.
Right.
Now, there is a lot of myths and legends about the sea monsters and stuff like that, which I
there's talk of fairies.
That's right. That's right. And they say that the ancients would say that the island was cursed and you should never build anything there. And it's quite interesting. Here's a picture of it, ladies and gentlemen, closer to the. I mean, look at the distance.
Yeah, exactly. Look how far that is for the mainland.
See, I can understand. I'll go back to the chat now to see what you're all saying because I can't see it when I'm working the controls. But I can understand one person getting washed away, right? Maybe
they just vanished, Toby. Yeah, the three of them just vanished.
The three of them just basically vanished. I mean, everything was set out. Imagine you'd get your dinner ready, you put your plates out, you'd put the fire on, you'd lit your lamps for the dinner, and then 3 days later, something happened. They went to check it out. Everything was set out, but the place was abandoned. And I could understand one man's. I see. This is the thing.
There's a theory that something happened to one of them, and then somebody had to go out to look for him, and then the other went out to look for him. There's theories of that. So it begs to differ. Why did the second person not go get help? So there's a lot of ins and outs to why, if that case, did they not seek help the first day? The 1 minute that one person disappeared, so did they all disappear at the one time? Did they go overboard, or are they in the island somewhere underground? Who knows?
Well, this is actually interesting. Arriving on the island on December the 29th, the board superintendent, Robert Moorhead, right? He was the top guy. He knew the men well. These men weren't like recruits. These men worked.
They were specially picked as well.
They were
specially picked to go there.
They knew if you went out at night, 2 would go. Right? They knew that the rocks were dangerous. They knew the dangers of that island, right?
Sure.
But you would think they would have left like a note behind or something like that to say, "Oh, one's fell off, and others went. We're going to look." It's annoying. There's actually top police that have actually investigated it, and still to this day, they just don't know what happened. I mean, that one oil skin
washed up ashore or anything.
Yeah. See, it's quite interesting. I'm reading it here. There was satisfied that the men deputy up till the dinner time and Saturday, right? So they could tell that they just disappeared. And
Yeah.
you know, what's that in the chat? Go and
See, the
boot that
thing is,
person, please, guys.
there's take care of whatever it is. There's actually like myths and legends as well that if the gods of the island, if you like, seem to think that you maybe have done something wrong, went against some of the etiquette of the island, that you fall victim to the curse. Did the three of them do something to offend the gods of the island? You know,
see,
the fairies maybe or something. Who knows?
Right, this was in 1900. Right, this is 1900. Now, there's been theories of German U-boats and stuff like that, but they didn't have them to that extent. There's been theories of stuff getting washed up onto the shore with gold, and then they all went mad. That's the film, The Vanishing. They all went mad and killed each other, right? What's your opinion, Joe, on this? Because I know you've researched it. What is your opinion? What do you think happened to them?
See, and I know people have got to think aliens straight away, but there is talk of aliens and things as well there, guys. Yes. I think modern research and things is going down the road, looking more at the skies and things as well. So it's something that is really quite ongoing with the island. It's been really strange for the minute that the men disappeared. People have been researching it basically. So it's just, it mesmerised me. I don't know. There's so many different ways could have happened. I mean, did they go overboard? Did they go upwards? Did they go downwards? Who knows?
Right, there's one speculation out there where two of them went out and a wave took them over, right? And the other guy ran down to get them, and another wave took him. They're not that stupid. And that's what I find.
No, they're too experienced to fall for that.
There was always one to be there at all times. You couldn't leave that place. You could go. One would stay there while the other two went out, because it was a lighthouse. I mean, it was, if that light stopped working, ships would run aground. People would die.
Yep. The fact that they didn't the light for a few days. I mean, that's strange. Why? If they ran out of something, for example, they would have went and got more supplies or whatever. So why did it take 4 days as well for them to actually go see what was happening and the light not being lit? Because there is also a theory of maybe there being involvement of some higher ups in the lighthouse system that wanted to get rid of them, basically.
Well, you've got to remember that if we go back to the beginning here, the story, right? The Archer, the transatlantic steamer, right? It passed, and it tried to signal because they noticed the light wasn't on. So they stood there for like 15, 20 minutes, and they're like, there's something going on here, but it was too rough for them to land in the island. They couldn't put a boat out. So they decided to go back. So they decided to go back, right? So they went back to the port, right, and they informed the people in charge. Then the people in charge were right, let's send a boat out that could land in the island. So they had to wait till the storm blew over, first of all.
Yeah.
So that was a day. So then they went back out, and there was nothing there, right? You got to remember the wee boat that went out, the radio equipment, they didn't have that kind of stuff, right? So they had to come back again.
Physically.
Aye. So they had to come back again, right? And then they had to report to the board saying they left one person there to look after the place while they come back, obviously to keep the light going. They come back and they said, right, and then the superintendent, the head one, decided, right, I want to go out. So he went out with a load of men, and they spent 2 days searching that entire island with a fine comb, right? They did find oil skins, a full set of oil skins. But here's a question, and interesting for people in the chat. It was a full set of oil skins. It was the jacket and the trousers. Why would someone take off his jacket in trouser oilskins in winter and leave them lying.
I know. And also, I was going through the notes there on it. The clocks stopped as well. I was just noticing there, the clocks had actually stopped at a specific time. The clocks were stopped, and other signs indicated that the accident must have happened about a week ago. Poor fellows must have been blown over the cliffs of drowned trying to secure a crane. They did think that they were maybe on. So why did the clocks stop? You know what I mean? That indicates to me some sort of magnetic thing that stopped the clock then.
Well, the clocks had to be wound, but the clocks were wound like every 4 days. I mean, it's quite interesting here from the evidence was able to proceed the head guy. This is the head one. Men had been on duty up till the dinner time on Saturday, the 15th of December. They had gone down to secure the box, which was the mooring ropes. So that's where they keep the boat, right? It went down to this is what they say, right? This is what the head ones say. The three of them went down to secure the moorings, right? 134 meter above sea level, that an extra large sea rushed. They said a wave came out and swept both of them away, basically. I don't believe that.
But you see the island, you see the shape of the island, that looks impossible because the island is so high up, well, the lighthouse is so high up that it would be an awfully big wave to wash them over. And the wind as well, I mean, they're no silly men. They wouldn't have been out there in that amount of wind to blow them over.
See, that's actually interesting. That's interesting what Dobie Sock's saying about the logbook. There was a logbook, but as they say, it was on the 15th. They'd written it when they got up in the morning. What they usually put, but there was nothing else, and that's it makes you wonder if they were experiencing other stuff. This is quite interesting, but as far as the public was concerned, right, the report wasn't the end of the story. Speculation was soon arrive, right? Theories more suited to the Middle Ages, where during the round such as the men being gobbled up by a giant sea serpent or whisked away by a huge seabird. One theory had the men leave the island on a boat to escape debts, while another had spirited away by a skeleton crew of ghost ship. This is all the stories, right? This is all the fishermen telling us. Some people even thought that the men had been kidnapped by a foreign spies. Now that's interesting. See what I said about the U-boats and stuff. See what I said about the Germans, because the war broke out. But what, 15 years after that, 14 years after that.
Well, it was 1900 exactly. This happened. So yeah, 14 years.
14 years.
Also, as well, though, what was I got to say there? Also, as well, I was got to make a point there. I'll just continue talking. I'll remember in a sec. What was I got to say? I can't remember. It'll come back to me. It's all right.
Here is something really interesting, right? I've just come up in it. Right, here we go. Containing safe from baffling entries in the logbook. Right, Dobie, here we go. It's supposed to have written, right, one of the head lighthouse keeper had supposedly written the great storm like which had never seen before had hit the island. He continued was usually quite quiet when the storm hit. A big blurry man known to have much of a sensitive side was weeping. One of them started to cry, which would never. This is what's been put in the logbooks.
Be scared then.
He was scared. A second entry had 3 men praying in the eye of the monstrous storm. The third and final entry, supposedly written on the 15th, states that the storm had passed and all was now calm. On the hearing about the existence of these logbook entries, right, the idea that the men had been swept out to sea, if any had died, surely whoever wrote in the 15th of December entry would have mentioned this. So in the 15th, they would have mentioned that they were swept away. One of them had been. Yeah.
Exactly. There's a theory about, that's what I was going to say about the birds. The theory is that the gods had took them through these birds, guys. That was another one of the theories, that they had offended the gods of the island, and just as these people had been going up to see the place, if you like, then they had actually seen the spirit of the island take them through the ravens, well, the crows. So that's the reason they think the birds were involved. It's very mysterious, especially the mystical side of it, because I mean, if you look at the island, in the middle of nowhere, so how did anybody get there? If say it was a conspiracy theory that they were getting kidnapped or something, surely they would have been kidnapped. No, I don't think they were kidnapped either. No.
You would think there'd be a fight up. You would think there was a fight put up. I mean, here's an interesting one. An independent journalist at the time discovered, carrying out his own investigation, that both fake logbook entries and fictional tales of the sea serpents and ghost ships which we left us. So there was some fake. So was that the people that went to the island put it into the logbook? Because they said that was faked. I mean, I'm reading this off actually a history thing, which is quite
the bit about the deliria. It says about it says here, those involved in the manufacture of hats in the 18th and 19th centuries also suffered from mercury poisoning. So they think it was mercury poisoning, becoming as mad as a hatter, as the old saying went. Like the hatters of their day, the lighthouse keepers were being driven mad by the exposure to the mercury from the fumes. So I'll take it that's the fumes of the light or something then.
I think the lights in the days were something to do with mercury in them, and it gave off fumes. And they were breathing that.
So if they did go mad, where did they go? So we'll run with that for a minute. So they go mad. So where did they go though? If they went mad,
one of them murdered them.
Signs of them.
Unless one of them lured two of them out, murdered them outside, and then taken off his oil skins and jumped in the sea.
And jumped in.
It's actually arguments speculated that they could have started a fight, right? And then landed, all three fell off the cliff. I mean, I don't see how that's possible. You're in a fight with three folk are fighting with each other, right? And then the three just fall off a cliff. I think
you wouldn't be that close to the
covered up.
Cliff edge. Right, definitely something's happened.
Yeah. Hey everybody in the chat.
Welcome in everybody. Let us know your theories in the chat if you know Flannan Lighthouse in Scotland, guys.
Here's actually interesting. The second theory that one of the men again probably murdered the other two, dispatched their body into the sea, then threw himself off the cliff, while both these add up to level bloodthirsty, right? It's a mystery that no evidence either fight or murder took place, because the place again was perfect. There was nothing out of place.
Not a thing. This is the SOS type of thing that came through, guys. A dreadful accident has happened at Flannan's. The three keepers, Duckett, Marshall, and Occasion MacArthur, have disappeared from the island. On our arrival there this afternoon, no signs of life was to be seen on the island. So there you go. That's what they sent through to headquarters. So there's no mention in that, even a panic really about, we went to the island and we seen here blood there and things. So obviously it's that they weren't really panicked first.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, let's look at the lighthouse again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at this, right? I mean, right, here we go. This is a black and white photo, which is quite interesting.
See, they wouldn't be that far to the edge, even if they were in a fight. They would be in this little compound here.
Yeah.
They wouldn't probably need to really go beyond that wall.
Which is, I mean, if you were fighting, if I had to burst into a fight with another guy, I would either been that compound or been the grass. I wouldn't be fighting on the very edge of a cliff. That would just be sheer insanity.
Exactly. Sure.
It's if you look at this is one of the original buildings. See the buildings at the bottom. Now this is from like maybe the 1200s, 1100s, 1200s. It makes you wonder, was the island maybe haunted or cursed, and it maybe drove the three men mad? Maybe they were seeing things and they weren't reporting things. Maybe they were experiencing strange
where did
events.
they go though? I mean, there's still never any trace to them to this day. So I mean, where did they physically go?
If they went into the water within like 2 years, there'd be nothing left of them. Okay, I mean, because animals and stuff would have eaten them, like fish and stuff like that.
It's strange for them not to see anything in the waters, though. Surely there would be a jacket, a hat. I mean, look at them. There's quite a lot to their uniform. Surely something would be floating somewhere for them to say, "Well, we definitely found a jacket." You know.
Well, they found the one pair of oilskin trousers and oilskin jacket, and that was it. Which is
was that in the water or was that on the island?
That was on the island. It was on the island.
These items.
They found that on the island.
Still no proof that they went into the water. Then is it really? No. So,
well, what they think is they think that one of them, because seemingly had a violent past, murdered two of them, threw them off the cliff, and then with sheer insanity, he took off his clothes, his waterproofs off, and then jumped off the cliff. That's what they're saying.
I think there would be like signs of that in the actual lighthouse, though. I think there would be signs of maybe things disarray because of arguments, fights. You know, I don't know. It just doesn't fit right with me for some reason, that one. What do we think about the mystical side of it then, about maybe something for the actual island taking them? How big is the actual island?
Well, here we go. I'll show you a picture of the island right now. It's about there. It's there. So it's no the big one there. It's the wee yellow line points to the two of the islands.
Then.
It's maybe this half. It's like maybe 5 football parks or something like that. It's no.
I take it that they scanned the full place for them, any of them falling down a crevice and maybe 3 of them falling down somewhere. I take it they did all that.
The 10 multiple men. I think there was over 40 people went out to the island, and they just marched up and down, searching. There was boats going either passing each other, so one's going that one, one's going that way. They were searching the entire island. I mean, I watched a video in this. Yeah. I watched a video in this last night.
Right.
I think there's something mystical to do with this. I really do. I mean, you
me too. Remember, I think it's something that's happened. Mystical.
I'm not saying it's aliens or stuff like that, but I'm saying that maybe they've encountered like maybe a spirit, and it's not very happy that they're there, because there was reports of the island being haunted. There is reports. If you go back far enough to like maybe the 13, 14, 1500s, the island, nobody liked going there because they said it was cursed.
That's right. Yeah.
So then they built this lighthouse on it, and then this happened.
No. And it's funny that they did a lot of the lighthouses. They let people stay there with their families and things, but with this lighthouse, they wouldn't allow it. As well, that was in the notes I read, that they wouldn't allow anybody to stay there with their families as well.
What's that? So Jacqueline Evelyn says, "Is there a stone ring there? Would you mean like one of those things that the pagans and would put up, kind of thing? Is that what she means?"
Yeah, no, nothing noted that I read, sister. No, nothing that I noted written down. I mean, what you could do is you could do like a modern day research on it to see what we can all find just now that maybe that the modern day researchers have found, because the island's still there, you know, it's not disappeared. So it'd be interesting to see what they've found these days.
Well, the lighthouse, after that, there was men posted there. I did watch the video in this last night. The men that were posted there after it would witness weird things.
Okay.
They would witness kind of like voices, but there was nobody there, kind of thing. They would witness kind of like apparitions and stuff like that. Was that the spirits of the lighthouse keepers? Or was it spirits of something else pretending to be friends?
Right.
I mean, this
the
was
mermaid
used.
side of it as well.
Aye,
Could the
that's
be mermaids with their prettiness and lured to their death with
lured
these
them into that.
mermaids? Lured them into the sea, or it's just so mystical. We've talked about this loads of time on podcast, especially on YouTube. There is so many mystical creatures in Scotland. Even the fairies are mentioned in this island.
Yes.
So who's to say it's not even the fairies? Maybe they offended the fairies and the fairies dragged them right down and through the mountain. Who knows?
Do you know what I think about, and this is very unusual for this island, was 3 big black birds, crows, right? This is a really remote island where you mostly get seagulls, right? You don't really get crows on islands like this.
Not too far out for crows.
But having 3 big black birds, does that not make you think 3? That's the sort of, was it the Holy Trinity and stuff like that? The 3, but then you've got the crows. The crows know a harbinger of death, or are crows not a harbinger of death?
The Morgan turn into crows. So who's to say that it's maybe not been some of the Morgan on the island? It's maybe that's they manifested back into their crow form, actually ravens, because people have turned up at the island. It could be like some sort of deity and things that's turned back into their animal form because people have turned up. So could it be mystical?
I think there's something to play. I was told this story when I was a wee boy. A friend that I used to know, his name was Walter, and he used to tell us this story about this lighthouse and how they just vanished. And then after that, the strange reports, the strange things that people would notice, right? And there's been people that's been out. You got to remember. See all lighthouses now; they're all computerized. There's nobody on this island.
That's right. There's no many.
There's nobody. It's a computer that runs everything. And there's been boats at night passing this island, right? And they've looked up and they've seen like people walking about. And they've reported that. They've went out and there's nothing there. So, hey Raymond, I think
what
it's
part of Scotland is it? Let me just see what actual part. Let me see.
It's up to the islands.
What island?
It's here. It's where the letter
so
A is.
Which islands it across from? Right, yeah, I'm just trying to see. Right, so there's obviously the mainland, and then there's a set of islands in between. So that's strange as well.
The bigger island there is, the lighthouse is 80 miles from the bigger island there, right? So that bigger island there has,
as if they're out visiting,
a village on it and stuff like that.
Go visit it and see what we can pick up. Right.
I think we need to go there. Alan, if you're listening to this or watching this, we're leaving you in the island for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're going to the island. Pack your bags.
Who in the chat would like to go to the island? What one of you would like to go? There's Danny. I would like to know what Danny's thought was about this place was. If he could sense anything.
Listen to this. This is what people have about the island. Expect extremely disturbing violent imagery, including slicing with an axe, lots of blood, a character bashing a seagull death, a severed human head, a human corpse with gulls plucking at his eyeballs and intestines, fighting, screaming and humiliation, plus urinating, farting and buckets of excrement. So this is just like imagery that people have seen when they've visited the island. That's something crazy, guys. Someone's trying to frighten somebody away then.
Would you
the fact that they've never been seen again. No, a week. Maybe I would do, if I was with a lot of people, I would maybe go visit it and do a bit of investigation on it, but I'd visit it maybe over multiple weeks and then decide if I wanted to do an overnight. But I would definitely love to go into the island and see if you picked up what was there. You know? The fact that you need to climb to it and all is going to put a lot of people off it, so it's not going to be popular.
160 steps. I'm interested about the house. I find that interesting. See the wee stone house the wee stone kind of cottage, the croft.
Right.
I mean, there was a settlement on it, but that's nearly 1,000 years. I mean,
Right.
it's
It's very interesting
1300s. Yeah, it's.
There's I didn't realise it was as popular. There's a loads online about it. I'll need to do more research into it, guys. We'll definitely do more, because I think that we could go down more of the middle side and investigate that and see if we can find unique stories of people maybe that has visited the island and see what they say. Because we'll never get to go there, but I'd like to speak to somebody that has.
Oh, you never know. We could get on the ferry to the big island, then we could send you in a wee rowing boat. You could draw away out, It's only 80 miles.
I'll do that.
There and back.
Give me 6 months so I can get my muscles.
80 miles. What do you think, guys, in the chat? Well, there's Danny. He'll go with you. Danny will go with you.
Uncle Danny, that's where we're going. Uncle Danny
but
comes to Scotland. We'll visit the island.
I know I don't talk about UFOs in this channel and stuff like that, but there has been weird sightings. And I'm not saying there were UFOs,
there is that as well.
Yeah. It's there's Danny.
That part of Scotland. Part of Scotland is actually quite famous for sightings as well. I mean, you've got to take that into consideration.
Aye.
So who knows? It's one of those places, guys. It's just the guys vanished. That boggles my mind. They totally get wiped off this earth with what? What's your theories in the chat, guys? What do you think?
What do you think, guys?
Has anyone ever heard of this place? What do you think? Uncle Danny says he'll go.
I'm just looking it up really quickly. There's something I seen.
Dobby says it reminds me of Summerlee's The Wicker Man film, right?
That's what's meant to be here, right? The Blue Men of the Binge. The Blue Men of the Binge. That's where they're meant to be, near that lighthouse.
See, I've heard of them. Right, is that where they've been spotted? Right, okay.
They've been spotted.
See, that's strange.
It's the Blue Men of the Binge.
I don't think they're good spirits, though. If I remember correctly, when I was doing no, I didn't think they were. When you get so are they protective of the island? Have they claimed the island maybe for themselves and didn't want anything there in the first place? They're
notoriously known for luring ships into the rocks. Maybe they were pissed off that they built a lighthouse there.
Because they wouldn't get any of these souls anymore that crashed landed. So were they upset that these lighthouse keepers and totally done away with them, for lack of a better word,
Yes, Liz there for my
and
live.
Now they've got their dream.
Fairies when I was 6 years old a week. It was sparkly and they got tiny too. So there you go. I've never seen a fairy. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe you, Liz.
Just wee pixie creatures.
Well, we thought we seen one, remember, coming through the wall, Paranormal World Investigators, spiritual investigations. Remember when we first went to Sherry through one of the first live streams we ever did? We seen something appear coming through the wall, and you were pure amazed, and it did look like a fairy, guys, I'm not going to lie. So the footage is there to check it out. So things like that. So what do you think of then the fact that maybe the fairies were... Maybe there was a fight going on between the fairies and these other creatures, so the fairies were maybe the ones helping them, because fairies are helpful usually. And then these other blue people didn't like that.
Unless that ground is sacred to something we do not know about. They built that lighthouse there, and the energy just built up and built up and built up, and one day the three men just went poof.
Probably, and then the energy of the guys arguing.
Yeah,
maybe there was one there that wasn't getting on with the two of them, and the energy, them arguing and things, has brought on something that had never manifested before. Because you know how much energy can affect an area. All their negativity, or along with other things, maybe family problems and things, would be a nice little soup for these entities. So did they feed something?
There's Christine, I mean, she was saying about Danny. I would hate to meet a banshee. It could have been that. I mean, you got to remember, Scotland is one of the most oldest countries in the world, right? It's one of the first it's one of the first. And the myths that's in the waters, you got to remember at one time there was no water there. At one time it was just one big landmass, right?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, yeah, so there could be anything buried under that water. There could be stone circles there.
Because it's going to be the first point of entry for a lot of these people way back before Scotland. I mean, if that's at the edges of Scotland, then that's going to be have been a drop-off point when it was attached to the island, if you get where I'm coming from. And then through time, it's obviously separated. So to me, the energy there is probably, because it is a lot, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm just trying to maybe point out that the energy there's maybe a wee bit more like because of the sea and then the different energies landing, like, you know, who knows? It's just so crazy.
That's quite interesting. But Dobby Sock question: has there been a fairy ring being noticed on the island, or even the fairy toadstools? I mean, I bet you there is stone.
Need to do more research to see what they've been finding the island, to see where the fairy theory comes from, because there could be.
You've got to remember too, and this is an actual interesting topic, actually, because I actually read about this last night. Well, I watched about it. See all these wee islands around Scotland, and I mean the tiny ones. A lot of them were used for burial grounds. Aye, for burial grounds.
All right. Right.
So they would say there was a big island, maybe 15 miles away, but out there was a wee island. They would use the wee island and put like graves on them. But why?
Oh.
Some of them, aye. So maybe there is graves on the island, and something just get pissed off, made them see stuff, they've went mad, and they've done themselves in. But you could, this is what I find strange. These three men worked in other lighthouses together. These three,
right, could there be, say they died, right, and they were maybe died outside in exposure, would there be enough birds and things to go take them apart, if you like? I don't want to be too graphic.
No, there would still be,
so that they would never be seen.
Oh no,
right, so that's
seagulls can only eat certain amounts. Aye, you would still have heads and bones and stuff like that, right?
True.
What's interesting is everything was left in that kitchen. Everything was perfect.
I know. So if it was other humans, would they know have picked at some of the food?
Yes.
No?
I don't think it was humans. I think that, and I don't think they murdered each other. I think something.
No.
I think one of them's either went mad, he's went running outside, and he's maybe taken off all his clothes or something like that, right?
Yeah,
with his oil skins. The other two of them went after him, right? And then the two of them came to a grisly end.
Right. But would it not be policy to one of them has got to stay there no matter what? Would that not be some sort of policy?
Well, you would. One of you had to stay there, because unless it's
would they take a lot for it? No. It would take a lot then for the three of them have to go outside that building, is my point. Because I assume that one would have to have been there at all times, no matter what.
One of them had to stay. One of them had to stay at all times, because if the light was left, it went out. See the wee island across there. It was notorious for ships meeting a grisly end,
running aground there.
Aye. So that's why the lighthouse was built there, so ships wouldn't run aground. And
so it's going to probably be these entities that's annoyed then, really, because that's saving lives. You know, it's going to be saving lives.
I mean, these three men worked together for years. I mean, they knew each other. Well. I mean, they liked their beards in their days, didn't they? They liked their moustaches.
Aye. Their big ties. And they were well into their field. They knew their job. That's a point that we need to make. These guys knew their job. They were handpicked for this job, basically, for the big company. So they knew their job.
That's
so they
what
wouldn't
I'm
fall
interested
victim to silly wee mistakes.
See that house? See that little stone house that's there?
You drawn to it?
I'm drawn to that. And I don't know why I'm drawn to that. Is there anything in the chat, Danny? If you're in the chat, what do
Can
you
you
see,
pick up
Danny, when you
Uncle Danny?
when you look at that little stone house? You know,
Could there maybe been something going on there, and that they had to go there for some reason to shelter or something? Maybe, and that's why you're drawn to it, because maybe that's where they ended up before the big event, whatever happened. Maybe their last place. Interesting to see if anybody picks anything up.
I think, my opinion is they didn't murder each other, and they did a wave didn't sweep them away. I think Danny's, see, there's Danny says it, burial grounds. That's what he gets.
Yeah.
So
yep.
Danny
Something's been
that's
unrolled.
what I said. Yeah. I think there's something there. They've been seeing things. They've been seeing shadows. They've been seeing things moving about. They've been getting paranoid, right? And because these are professional men and professional Christian men, right? They don't want to believe this, and they will not write this down in the logbook. And then one night,
exactly, I don't want people to know.
One night, something really bad happens. Something really bad happens.
And there's no trace of them. It's going to have to be something magical, because there would be traces of them there. If it was something physical that happened to them, there'd be something physical left. So it's got to be something mystical. Whether it be aliens, whether it be fairies, whether it be sea monsters. It's definitely not been a storm or anything. The storm wasn't bad enough for it to wipe them straight off that island. It was impossible, they said.
It was... This is what I get. People are that, the big wave came out and swept them away. Look, these were experienced men. These men knew what they were doing. They were experts at what they did.
There.
Yes. One would have stayed in the house connected to the lighthouse, right? One would have stayed there. But
definitely.
What I find strange
is
why
them
guys
break their protocol.
Yeah. Maybe they went out thinking, oh my God, guys, come here and see this. There's like people dancing about, and they followed them and fell off the cliff. It's
just not as quick as that. It's like maybe there was a sea monster and they had to go out forgetting protocol and run to see. Who knows? But it's definitely got to be something mystical or amazing or something crazy that's drove the three of them out that lighthouse, because as we say, it's protocol for one at least.
Yeah. There's other videos out there, and you should go and look, guys, on the internet where people have actually went to the island, and it does feel weird. The island feels weird. And
there was a journal, Evie, yeah. I don't know about personal journals, but there was a journal left. What was on the journal again, Chris?
Oh God,
just basic things, wasn't it?
It was just basic stuff.
It wasn't anything
and stuff like that. Times and dates and what's happening. But
it wasn't nothing crazy.
Oh no! And there was one thing in the journal. One of the journals says they'd never seen a storm like this. It was making strange sounds. The storm was making strange sounds, and one of them started to cry.
See, does that make you differ then to were they in disbelief there's something magical happening around them? Did they just not want to admit it?
I think they've seen something. I think something was no hunting them, but I think there was something playing with them today. Something.
And one of them saying, "It's only the wind. It's only the wind," and this is why it's been noted down.
But it sounded. Look, as I say, I watched this last night.
Remember, there wasn't a storm, though, guys.
It was. There was
only a storm the night before.
Aye, and they're saying it was. There was a storm, right? But it wasn't to that extent. I mean, the lighthouse keepers said they could hear like voices, and was that the spirits calling them to the water, to the grave? You know.
So what if one of them murdered the other two? There were signs of them being buried as well. Especially in January, it would have been hard ground, so it would have been spotted.
The easiest way to dispose of something like that is to throw somebody off a cliff. because it would just get dragged out
Sure.
to sea.
True.
What mystifies me is the set oilskins lying on the grass next to the lighthouse. Why would you take your oilskins off? You got to remember, this is winter time. You fall into that water and you're dead within 3 minutes because of the hypothermia. Why would you take your oilskins off?
I know, and why them do it?
Well, in the logbook, Kate Houston, it was like one of them, like there's reports. See, this is the thing about the logbook. There's inconsistencies in it. 1 minute
We don't
there's
know
like
where
stuff that's been
disappeared.
Aye, there's like inconsistencies in the logbook for the lighthouse. So it's like in the 15th that it was written in, but there was nobody there. They think that maybe the people who went out maybe witnessed something and tried to cover something up. You know,
it's just so interesting because nobody really knows what happened. That's crazy.
But the question is, they opened the door to the kitchen and they walked in and everything was perfect. No folded, nothing was knocked over, nothing was out of place. The paraffin lamps had run out of paraffin. The candles had melted down. The fire had went out. The dinner was still in the pots.
Night then.
Aye.
If the candles were lit, it was night time or darkness getting dark. So that maybe happened after dinner time or just at dinner time.
I think we need to do a follow up. We need to do a follow up on this about this place. I'll maybe see if I can get a guest on to talk about it. Because there is people.
I want to research the fairy activity in the island. I want to see if I can find maybe even some documentation of people saying that they've seen this or that on the island. I'll have a wee dig around and see what I can pick up.
That's a good idea. It's a very, very interesting location. This
it's just so crazy that they've never been ever. That's interesting.
While everybody's in the chat, I've got a wee trailer I have to play for Bald and Bonkers because we've got a special guest on Saturday, guys. Everybody knows who she is. Her name's Elena, but we'll be back after this trailer.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you know that Chris has another program he co-hosts alongside Dakota Franson called The Bald and Bonkers Show? Of course, some of you knew that, but did you hear about the live guest? The Bald and Bonkers boys are welcoming back none other than Elena Danon, author of A Gift from the Stars and We Will Never Let You Down. Her latest addition to the series, The Cedars Return of the Gods, details some of Elena's most extraordinary encounters as emissary for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. You know the guys have a history of strange things happening on the show. Anyone who follows Elena has seen very similar things take place. When the three get together, it never fails to go to hyperdrive. Turns out it's because Elena and Dakota might have a history from the stars. You don't want to miss it. The guys go live Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. GMT at www.youtube.com/@baldandbonkers.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. And I would also like to say we're streaming through Parapost International. Parapost, we're streaming through YouTube and lots of other locations. So remember, check out those locations. So, Drew, what have you got planned for tonight or tomorrow?
What have I got coming up, guys?
Any live shows?
Planned as such. Yeah, I've got my usual Thursday night live on my channel. Probably do a little bit of spirit box communication or maybe tarot or something. Who knows? Yep. I did do a video on Monday. It was about the equipment that we use out paranormal investigating. If any of you want to check that out, it's on my channel. Drew's Abandoned Paranormal Vlog.
Yeah, it's a good catchy name, that Drew's Abandoned Paranormal Vlog. It's a really catchy name, that, you know. And I would like to thank the 19 people that's watching us right now. We've got 13 on Ghost Squad Scotland, and we've got the rest through all the Facebook locations, you know.
Welcome everybody.
What we got to talk about next week, Drew? What subject should we talk about next week? I'll let you choose.
Oh goodness, what can we talk about next week, guys? What would you like us to talk about? Any ideas?
Aye.
Oh, Christopher,
What do you think, guys?
think?
It can be anywhere in the United Kingdom or anywhere in the world. Pick a mystery of any kind. You know? Well, everybody hit the like. I thank you very much, guys. Could you hit the likes? It helps the channel. It helps the old algorithm. It helps us get out there. Because I would like to say thanks to all the subscribers, because I'm nearly at 1,130 subscribers. Okay, so
Brilliant, Christopher. Brilliant.
You know.
Yep, Jodie McKerrigan is in. That's my oldest son. Welcome, Jodie.
Yeah.
Uncle Danny Calic. The Calic is, I don't know if it was this channel we did the Calic on, or if it was my channel when we did some of the legends.
What's the Calic?
I was talking about the Calic. I can't even remember what it was. The Calic, I do believe, is one of the. It's another legend in Scotland, but I can't remember what it is. My memory's terrible.
Would you like to come on, Danny, with me and Drew and talk about the Calic?
I'll look it back up, guys. I talk about that many different things. My memory's terrible. But we could definitely talk more about the legends, because there's that many legends in Scotland. It's crazy.
I mean, there's also the haunted.
There's also, we could talk about them, yeah.
God, there's haunted roads of Scotland. There's any castles you would like us to talk about. Just leave comments below. You know, there's.
We'll have a nosy around, guys, and we'll find something. You know what it's like. There's so many. Scottish wolves, don't be saying.
Scottish wolves is something I've never really talked about. We could do a night on strange creatures of Scotland. We've done one before, but we could do one where we talk about wolves, and of course there's meant to be Bigfoot's meant to be in Scotland too. Oh, you don't want a visit for the hag. You don't want a visit for the hag at night. See, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to have a weird dream tonight. Thank you, Living History.
Oh, you'll be fine, Christopher. Just think about lovely things before you go to sleep. You'll be fine.
I watched like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre before I got my bed. You know?
Listen to one of the lovely podcasts that you do and that calm your nerves.
Thank you very much, Stockport, for that nice kind comment there. Fascinating. Thank you very much. There's also a video coming out on the channel. We've actually got a video coming out on Friday. Let me check when it is, actually. I think it's, there we go, Covington Parish Church Graveyard. And that place was amazing. See in there, I'm not joking yet, there was so much Masonic gravestones.
Yeah, there'd been a couple of, I've noticed interesting places during the week there. I'd like to see myself, I mean, I wasn't there during the week with them guys, but I would like to see more of the Catholic one. That place just kind of gave me vibes, so I'd love to physically visit that place.
The old chapel? Was that the first video?
Yeah.
The Clothcorn Chapel and Graveyard?
Yeah.
Do you know that there was generals and colonels and everything buried in there, and they were all killed in India?
All right.
They died like what's that you get? It's a well-known. There's a cure for it now, but there was diseases that they died for. There was a general. There was a colonel. It was so
smallpox or something.
It was malaria. Malaria. I tried to get Alan to go ring the bell, you know.
But they don't do it.
You need to check out the Covington Parish Church, which is out on Friday, and that, oh my God, that place was really creepy. You think any of the other ones was creepy? That place was extremely creepy, guys. So Drew,
we'll definitely visit there.
So Drew, thank you very much for coming on tonight. You know,
always a pleasure, Christopher. Always a pleasure.
And what's that? Living Histories, Mr. Hey guys, girls, a wee prayer for us. Tonight we have to pick up Grandma's. What's that? I'm very sorry to hear.
Send and pray, brother.
Very sorry, you're in our prayers there. You're in our prayers. Sorry to hear about that.
Sending you strength for tomorrow.
Really, I didn't know that had happened. So I'm really sorry to hear about that. You know, But anyway, guys, tune in next week and we'll see if we can get Danny to come on the show and tell us some mystical tales of the Scottish hills and glens and scare us all to death, you know.
Definitely find some myths and legends for you guys.
And definitely prayers for you, Drew, Living Histories, Mysteries, prayers for you, bud. And everybody in the chat, thank you very much for coming. And please, guys, come to the Bald and Bonkers show on Saturday night on Bald and Bonkers channel. I think it's going to be an absolutely amazing show. And remember to check out Drew's.
I'll be in the chat, guys.
Is it Drew's Abandoned Paranormal?
Yes, Abandoned Paranormal.
See, yes. I remembered it.
Sorry,
I remembered
changing it, Christopher.
Yeah.
You won't get used to it, I promise.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully we'll have another video out on Monday too. So catch you later, everybody, and take care. See you later, dudes.
Bye, guys.